guys, it's Lizzie. So this is gonna be a fun video. What to do to not become Catholic. What to make sure you avoid in your life if you definitely don't want to end up converting. This is inspired by a blog post I read in April 2017. It was the same point of this video and it was kind of a joke. What you should avoid if you don't want to convert.
What if I made up my mind to rely on you? I thought I wanted it easy, but easy never needed you.
And so it's been interesting for me now looking back on the past 7-8 years of my life and seeing how even when I was 14-15, my thinking was already starting to shift in a way that pulled me away from Protestantism. Number one, don't become friends with Catholics who are serious about their faith. A lot of the Catholics I knew in high school barely ever went to church, didn't even know if God existed. There's a lot of nominal Catholics out there who are culturally Catholic, don't really care that much. And so I never encountered any Catholics who deeply loved God and were passionate in living out their faith until I went to Pepperdine. For the first time, I became friends with Catholics who were philosophical and intellectual. It was incorporated into every part of their lives. So once you get to know a Catholic on a deeper level, it's impossible to argue that they are not a Christian. Number two, never date a Catholic. It's one thing if you're acquaintances or friends with someone, but being in a romantic relationship is a whole other level of emotional, spiritual, intellectual connection. In relationships, you have combative, challenging conversations about your values. I used to see it that someone who is dating a Catholic, I saw it as they were just emotionally converting because they were in love. But so many people have messaged me who are in that situation, and it's just a fact that when you know someone at such a depth level, you're going to ask them questions and want to understand the reasons for their beliefs. Number three, only read Protestant commentaries. I could make a 50-hour rant video about my experience. Anytime there's a Catholic specific verse like John 6 or Matthew 16, it's amazing. So the way I can feel the bias in something I'm reading, the author will be saying really general, maybe we think this, possibly this, and then suddenly they'll get to something like Clement's letter to the Corinthians and they'll say, definitely could never be evidence of the Roman bishop being the Pope. You know what I mean? Being absolutely certain about something when everything else is more ambiguous and not certain. Number four, do not read theology books written by Catholics. Before you read a book for class, always Google the author and make sure you're not being indoctrinated by a Catholic. I made this mistake with a C.C. Pecknold book called Christianity and Politics. It was assigned in one of my classes and I absolutely loved it. Beautiful. Brought the Bible alive. I was understanding all these things about Greco-Roman culture, what Jesus' ministry meant at the time. And then we get to a chapter arguing for real presence theology. Number five, also, stay away from Anglican theologians like C.S. Lewis and N.T. Wright. They're hidden papists. Anglicanism is way too close to Catholic theology. It's basically Catholicism without the Pope. They might have a hidden agenda and be manipulating you. Number six, if you're in college, never take any classes with a Catholic professor. This is where I really went wrong. At my Christian university, Catholics were not allowed to teach our religion classes, but they could teach great books, philosophy, political science, English. Your professors have gone to grad school, PhD, written a dissertation. They're thoughtful people. Encountering intelligent Catholics you respect intellectually. Number seven, don't become friends with anyone who is a different denomination of Christianity. Growing up, I thought my church went by the Bible and the other Protestant churches didn't. Genuinely, that's how people in our church talk. But when I went to Pepperdine, even though it is a Church of Christ school, it's high ranked, so people of all different types of Christianity come to Pepperdine, and even in our campus ministry, there were all different types of Christians. A lot of people, their only experience in Bible studies, small groups, deep spiritual conversations is with people from your church who agree with you. So it was challenging for me being within this environment of Christians of all different belief systems who disagree on fundamental parts of the Bible. Number eight, do not read the church father writings. ever. It's okay to read about them, but do not read the primary sources. Number 9, never study medieval history. We call it the Dark Ages for a reason. If you read in depth about the Middle Ages, you'll find this wealth of intellectualism, of scholarship, philosophy, saints, and monastic life. You might start to make the connection that Catholics created academia. They built hospitals, universities, created sciences like astronomy, genetics, evolution. Number 10, if you read Augustine, while you're reading, cover up with your hand the Bishop of Hippopart. It's inconvenient realizing that the writings you love, the writings that inspired some of the first Protestant thinkers, are the writings of a Catholic bishop. Never research into how we got the biblical canon, because you'll find out that a council of Catholic bishops decided which books are in the Bible. Try not to read the Bible on your own, independent of your church. When I did in high school, I quickly figured out that my church was wrong. Avoid reading James, Hebrews, and Revelation. Martin Luther wanted to remove them from the Bible for a reason. They're too Catholic. And I'm serious. Reading James in high school, I stopped believing in faith alone salvation, and so much in Hebrews and Revelation, explicit Catholic theology. Even avoid reading parts of the Old Testament. Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon. Some of the prophets are fine, but avoid reading 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, and especially Isaiah. You'll find that the keys of the kingdom of heaven is very specific language to describe the second in command to the king, i.e. evidence for the Pope. You'll also find that the queen of the kingdom was the mom of the king, which could explain why Catholics call Mary the queen. Number 14, never Google or look up the actual words of the Hail Mary prayer. I made that mistake and noticed that it is 2 different Bible verses. Number 15, never ponder on the question of why we even go by Sola Scriptura. Number 16, never go to Mass. You'll hear all throughout the prayers and the liturgy and the things that everyone is repeating together that the liturgy is full of Bible verses. That will mess with your belief that Catholics don't go by the Bible. Number 17, never ever Google questions wanting to understand Catholic theology. You'll find really strong arguments by Catholic apologists who have dedicated their lives to proving that the Catholic Church is the one that Jesus founded. There's a quote I really love. Truth has nothing to fear from investigation. So that means if the beliefs you hold are absolute truth, you can research into every other side and perspective on the issue, and you will be right and not have to change if it is true. That is how I live. I love understanding different perspectives. And so at the beginning of 2017, when I started reading into the early church, none of me believed that I would find the Catholic Church to be true. So I got so addicted into reading all these things about the early church. I got to the point of no return where I'd read too much and there was no going back. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!